Welcome back to a new video. Today I will show you guys how to make LOVEMUSIC drums. Usually when I start making the drums of the beat, I start with placing the 808. So first you want to see what key your melody is in. This melody is one of my loops. It's in B minor. So usually I start with putting my 808 at the key root note, in this case B. Make sure to put your velocity up if you want the 808 to be pretty strong. So when you are making your 808 melody or just 808 pattern, you gotta watch some of the keys in the scale. These are the keys I use in the scale. As you can see, like the bottom note of the tension notes over here, these two are tension notes. I usually don't use the bottom note of the tension notes because it can sound a little off. If you can hear this, for example, it sounds not really that good. You can use them in some cases, but usually I only use them like 2% of the time. As you can see, that sounds a little better than the previous pattern I showed you. I switched the 808 sound and now I'm gonna make a pattern to show you the basics, like that it actually sounds good. I like to use glide notes in my melodies because they sound pretty fun. As you can see, I only used the notes that I showed previously and I didn't use the bottom tension notes. After the 808, I usually start with the kicks. Keep the kicks pretty simple, don't make them too busy. Don't place them at the start of every single 808, but like only sometimes, so you get little bombs going. If you want the kicks to hit harder, you can start by putting up the velocity. After that you can put up the volume, but in this case it's not needed. Now you can start replacing the claps. You likely know this very basic trap clap pattern, but you also have different patterns in LOVEMUSIC, like this one for example. Sometimes I also use this drum pattern right here. It's a little bit more drill inspired. I also sometimes use this drum pattern, but it can become a little bit busy, so make sure it doesn't become too much. When I start with my hi-hats, I always start with boxing up the envelope. So put the attack on 0, the hold on max, decay, sustain and release also on 0. In trap beats you usually use the two-step pattern or some variations of it, but for LOVEMUSIC we want to avoid this. There also is the drill hi-hat pattern, but for LOVEMUSIC we want to use some combination. Let me show you how I make these hi-hat patterns. For example, this to start with. You can see it doesn't really look like the hi-hat pattern from the trap beats. I'm gonna add some extra hi-hats to finish the pattern. In SUPERTRAP we make these really weird hi-hat rolls. We call them bird calls or just hi-hat rolls. For this it was important to make sure your envelope was boxed up for the hi-hat. You start with one of the notes and pressing Shift D while selecting it to make it an actual note. Then you make this little staircase so it becomes a hi-hat roll. To make the hi-hat rolls a little bit longer, you can just make this staircase a little bit longer. Or you can place them like this so it doesn't become that much pitch shifted. Or if you really want them to go down really fast, you can put them like this. Something to give these hi-hat rolls a little bit extra bounce is to place this note right before it. When you look at like the lowest note of the hi-hat roll, you place it at the same note right before the hi-hat roll. You also still can use the basic hi-hat rolls in the beat if you want to, pitch them down a bit, pitch them up a bit, whatever you want. Now I'm gonna play some open hats. You gotta look for some pockets where there aren't any drums playing yet. Next I will be adding these little percussion sounds. This one example is from one of my drum kits. To make it sound like I put delay on it, I just lowered the velocity. If you heard a LOVEMUSIC beat before, you probably have heard these percussion loops. I got some of those as well in my drum kit, so you can grab those from my drum kit, Nature and Gemstones. The link will be in the description. Now you have your full drum pattern, but you can add some variation. Just copy this drum pattern and go to the left top corner and right click and make unique. Now you can freely add some changes without changing the third pattern. I'm gonna start with changing the 808 pattern a little bit. Now I can change the hi-hat pattern a little bit as well. Now make a third pattern and I'm going to change the 808 again. Now you have a full LOVEMUSIC SUPERTRAP beat. Enjoy.